Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very glad to see you again. I shall talk very briefly about the space negotiations and then be glad to respond to your questions. Before I do that, I would just like to say a word of thanks and appreciation to many of you who sent me notes and other comments about surviving a year at the UN. I have survived. I'd make a brief comment about the negotiations on the treaty on peaceful uses of outer space, the moon, and other celestial bodies. My general observation is one of a feeling of progress and of optimism about concluding a treaty on this most important subject. The negotiations which took place in Geneva under the auspices of the legal subcommittee of the Outer Space Committee were conducted in a most business-like atmosphere. There was what is essential in negotiations, give and take on all sides. Naturally, we would have liked a little more give so that we could have had a completed treaty ready to present at this stage to the forthcoming General, which, if we are able to make final the treaty, would be the most significant disarmament measure or arms control measure made since the nuclear test ban treaty, would be product of two of these points. Number 6, no party will place any nuclear or other weapons of mass destruction in outer space or on a celestial body. And number 5, the moon and other celestial bodies shall be used exclusively for peaceful purposes. This is an arms control measure, which I say 5 and I say we. That does not mean that we in the Soviet Union are in disagreement on all of the 5. It means that members of the Outer Space Committee are in disagreement on 5 points. There are some points where the Soviets and ourselves are not in disagreement, but other members have raised points which require consideration. The first is the reporting requirement. When you get this afternoon, and there's reproduced this
subcommittee's meetings, or do you think that it has not prevented progress in any way?
I did not find that the Vietnamese War entered into the space negotiations. That is what I meant when I said that the space negotiations were conducted in a very businesslike atmosphere. There was only very slight reference made to the Vietnamese War in the general debate in a very low key. The progress which has been made in a very short period of time was considerable, and as I said, there was a spirit of give and take. And I think if you want the explanation for that, I think I have one. I think it's very much in the interests, national interests of the Soviet Union and the United States and the world community at large that an agreement of this type should be negotiated.
Did you feel that there's a time element in this, that the Soviets are as anxious as we are to get an agreement before we land the first man on the moon?
Forces are to be increased or boosted to at least 750,000 men. My question is this. Do you know of any new peace initiative on the part of the United States to try to bring this war to the conference table, or from now on are we letting military matters take their own head?
I don't think, Pauline, it would serve the national interest to go into, or the international interest, to go into details with response to your question. I could only say about it this, that the desire for a peaceful solution and the efforts for a peaceful solution still continue. I can only give you my best judgment about that, which may be disproved by events. The atmosphere in Geneva indicated that, assuming we could resolve the points of disagreement, and I hope we can. As you see, they are not, I think, not unresolvable. I think they're reconcilable, that they would. The atmosphere in Geneva. Now, we haven't done it, and I may be proved to be wrong.
In a major war, my feeling is that the fighting might spill over the frontiers. Do you agree with that assessment of the Secretary General's? And what is the U.S. attitude toward his three-point plan for peace in Vietnam?
Well, you know, Bill, I never comment directly on the Secretary General observation. I always listen to them with great interest. I would say that only with respect to this, that we don't want an escalation of the war, and we would hope certainly it would not come about.